The biggest shift, in going from a bad communicator to a good communicator.
Be less vanilla.
Jose Ucar is a global communication coach, international speaker, and the author of Communicate Your Way to the Top. He's trained teams at companies like Amazon, at Google, and now he's here to help you unlock the most overlooked business skill of all, communication.
Be willing to make mistakes. It is about authenticity. It is about being comfortable in our own skin, because that will lead to genuine connections.
In a world full of noise, he teaches leaders how to remove unnecessary complications, stop pushing too much information, and start connecting through curiosity and clarity. We'll unpack why difficult conversations matter, how to switch from pushing to pulling in communication, and why being a little less vanilla might just be your secret weapon. Let's do this. You do have a sexy voice.
I'm liking where this is going, James. I never dwell in the past or on the past. I just moving forward, present and future.
Beautiful. I mean, I couldn't write that down fast enough, but
I'm glad we're recording it.
I want to go back and listen to that bit. ActionCOACH, the help you need to grow your business. Jose Ucar, what's the number one mistake that people make trying to make an influence?
We make things a bit too complicated.
Right. Well, your subheading is simplify, improve and amplify your leadership impact. So when you say we make things complicated, why do you think we do that?
Well, we are complicated human beings. So there's nothing simple about ourselves. And that's why I decided when writing the book, let me just go for the simplification of things. And when I speak about simplification, it's about removing unnecessary complexities from our thinking, unnecessary complexities from our speaking. And of course, unnecessary complexities when we go and lead. Because I strongly believe, just like Miss Van der Rohe said once, less is more. And that's usually my approach to things.
Remove unnecessary complications. When we're thinking, when we're speaking.
Yes, and therefore when we lead, when we interact with other people.
Give us an example of a complication that people kind of inject into it.
I'll give you a great example. It's the two of us. I arrived, I see you, and then my mind goes into imagine fear or uncertainty or how is this going to happen? How is the podcast going to go? Things get a bit more complicated. So instead of going down that route, I understand it, I see it happening, I reflect on the spot, I reframe, and then, hey, James is another human being. People are going to be listening to this podcast, and people on the other side are human beings. And I'm a human being. And I know what I'm talking about. Yeah? Less is more. Shift. Bang.
I like it. Pretty inspirational as well, actually. Remove unnecessary complications. That's a nice phrase, isn't it?
I like it, and I've been using it a lot, day to day, for anything.
Reflect, reframe it, and then go.
And go. There's no time. I mean, there's no time for the two of us to get it very wrong. So,
okay, let's do the reflect, reframe. Let's do that analogy that you just gave. Oh no, I've got a podcast. So what's the reflection? What goes on in this, and how long does that take?
It has to take less and less. Okay, and that's the exercise. It happened. I had a coffee before coming in. I was just walking. I found the place. And then when I saw you, okay, I'm engaging, and then that kicked in. I usually fear emotion. The emotion kicks in. What is it? Is it excitement? A little bit. Is it fear? Yes, a little bit. Is it uncertainty? Okay. Now, rationalize it, Jose. What's going on? Hey, I'm here. And then that's okay. What am I going to change this for? Change it for a great opportunity to have a wonderful chat, to inspire more people. So reflect it, emotion, rational, reframe. Shift.
I think the reflection, as you're saying it there, is an awareness piece, isn't it? Look,
Absolutely.
I've got this going on.
Yeah.
And giving yourself a little bit of space to think and just calm whilst you're being aware of the emotions that's going on. So that's a skill, isn't it? That self-awareness. It's like emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
But the reframing it, it seems like that's a big opportunity for the listeners. Yeah. Is there any questions that they can ask themselves to reframe themselves in the moment?
I usually tend to ask the opposite to what I'm feeling. So I'm feeling, imagine, I am struggling right now. There is a bit of fear. How do I get to happy or positive?
Yeah.
That's one. Or how do I want to feel differently now? Quickly. So what I'm doing is interrupting the emotions through my rational, because then that's what's happening in there. I'm incorporating, a question that interrupts my state.
Starting your own business was an exciting time, wasn't it? The good days you had and the bad. You knew you'd have to work hard, but you did it for your future. Lately, though, you're missing out on the important things in life. Time seems to be slipping by. So make the change. Claim back your work-life balance and grow your business today. Visit actioncoach.co.uk.
And I love it, the fact that you're going opposite. Now, some of your subject matter expertise is on presenting, yeah?
Yeah.
And presenting and public speaking, if you like, it's actually the biggest fear in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a thought that happens in people's heads before they can present might be, what if I mess my lines up? What if I look like stupid? What if no one likes me? So if you go the opposite, you go, what if everyone likes me? Is that what you're saying?
What is going to make you more resourceful? You still don't know what's going to happen, but what will make you more resourceful when you go and deliver your presentation? Thinking, what if no one likes me, or what if people enjoy? I'm not saying that everyone will like you, but what if people actually enjoy what I'm going to say? What if I mess up? What if I remember everything because I've done it before? It's choosing the lens you want to see a situation through. And again, would you like to be more resourceful when you present, when you communicate? Generally, the answer is yes. So move towards this side. Well, and when I say this side, the positive, the optimistic, the resourcefulness.
It's a balancing act, essentially, this.
Mm-hmm.
These thoughts can occur. This is normal behavior, yeah?
Absolutely. And they happen all the time.
But what we've got to get good at is the reflection and the reframing, and go the opposite. Like, you know, what if no one likes me? Well, what if some of them enjoy it? You know, that is definitely moving towards this side, isn't it?
Yeah. Always. I like to say, we tend to operate from a problem-based thinking, and all of this is to get us towards what can be a solution-based thinking, or, as I said, a more resourcefulness way of being. Resourceful way of being.
Remove unnecessary complications, folks, and you do that by reflecting, reframing, and then going.
Yes, and the process itself is quite simple. There's 3 things you do. So I'm not even overcomplicating the process to get to the state you want to be in.
Okay, so that was the first thing. I asked you a question, what's the biggest mistake that people make when they try to be influential? And you said unnecessary complications. Are there any other mistakes that people make?
When we want to be influential, well, it all happens, it starts in there, and then we tend to push too much information. When it comes to communication, we want to pass on loads of information every time. We become pushers. And then that's another mistake we tend to make.
Tell me more about the pushers and why people do it.
Why do we do it? Based on the experience, every session I deliver, I ask, who growing up was told how to do things, or was given directions in terms of how they should approach a situation? And 99% of the people, they raise their hands. Our parents told us how to do things. Our teachers, our mentors, generally what they do is tell us, do this. James, you want to speak better? A, B, C, for instance. You want to do that? Do it this way. Then it becomes quite natural that that's what we do. And we push information onto people, which has got the power of persuasion with it. If we do it right, yes,
it's
it
credible,
can work.
if it's
Exactly,
good.
yes. And also there can be a level of authority.
Yeah.
And we provide direction, great. So that's one thing, and that's one of the reasons why we do it. But again, same, what would be the opposite? So then we start with the balancing act that you referred to in order to become more influential.
that pushing of information. It makes me think of someone. It's tell. Imparting of knowledge, imparting of experience.
Imparting, I mean, opinions as well.
Yeah.
And what they think should be done. And if you think about it, when it comes to leadership, and if you want to be truly influential, long term, you want to pull people in. And you want to pull in their opinions, their thinking.
All right, we'll go there in a second.
Okay.
You know,
I'll leave it there. I'll pause.
I like the little hook that you in. All right, so the push is anything to do with the push. Is there an ego to it? Is it more about me than you?
There can be a combination of things.
Right.
At this point, I wouldn't know exactly what it's doing it for every person unless I ask them in order to pull that information. Otherwise, it would be a huge assumption. But sometimes it can be an ego. Sometimes it can be time. If I'm delegating something, I haven't got time for you to come to me and teach you, do 1, 2, 3, and we will avoid mistakes. So there are times for it as well. But then that means you will always have, I mean, we're building robots when it comes to leadership. This is how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
Instead of getting people to experiment, to fail, to learn along the process.
Let's get one more. I mean, you know, we overcomplicate things, big mistake. We push information too much, big mistake. What's the third mistake that people make?
Oh, we don't enjoy difficult conversations as much. I'll leave that one with
That's
you.
normal though, isn't it? That's normal, you know. I mean, the fear of the difficult conversation, guys. We're going there. All right, so in all of the people you've trained and developed through presenting and communicating, how common is that one, that the fear in the difficult conversations?
Every time.
Every time.
Every session I deliver, and when I ask people, what would you like to get out of today? Even if it's a 2 or 3 day workshop or training, they go, I want to be more confident when dealing with, they say difficult people on occasions. In the end, it's down to their behavior, but yeah, difficult conversations. Even when they've been through some training already on communication and they've touched on this, they don't practice enough. So
the thing with communication, and this is completely opinion, all right? So you're an absolute expert on this. I'm not. Communication is an indispensable life skill. It's something that you're learning and honing throughout your entire life. It involves both speaking and listening. What's harder, speaking or listening?
Say that again?
What's harder, speaking or listening?
Listening.
Yeah, the Chinese, they've got this symbol for listening. Have you seen that before?
No.
You know, in this symbol of listening, it talks about you listen with your eyes, you listen with your heart, you listen with your ears. You listen as if you're only listening to one person. These are the only person in the world. And you listen as if you're speaking to the king or the queen. And they say that is listening.
I like that. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, listening with all of your senses, being present, slowing down, being there for that person.
Okay, so we've got remove unnecessary complications, too much pushing of information, fearing difficult conversations. Okay, now let's talk about the pull. Then, if we're to move away from pushing information, what are some of the kind of things that we put into place to start?
I always speak about the combination of things because we cannot, I mean, if we go into the pulling, we cannot just go asking questions. But when I speak about the pulling, it's more of a coaching approach or what I call the connection or the connector or the connecting style. And it happens in presentations a lot as well, not just in one-to-one. We go and present and we think because we are presenting, we're going to talk at people.
Yeah.
And that's long gone. Nowadays, people are looking for engagement, interactions. And this is a great example. I talk to you, but I also pull you in. I ask you a question. I get you to reflect. I give you space for you to digest what I've said. I recap. I change my tone. I do something unexpected. All of these things are creating connection points. And then you're pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. Why do we need to push and pull? Because we disconnect quickly. So that's why, hey, I'm telling you loads of things. If I tell you way too much, your mind goes and wanders.
Disconnect.
Exactly. You go and wander, and then I pull you in. So, James, what do you think about that one? Or what can you do differently? Or, hey, yeah, then that's how And that's the premise for difficult conversations. That's the premise for communication, for successful marriages. Push and pull. Play with both.
Actually, right at the center of all of that is connection.
Yeah.
It's maintaining the connection and reading the situation to push and pull.
Absolutely.
So how do you get the connection in the first place? If you've got, let's say the listeners, they've got a meeting coming up, either a team meeting or a presentation coming up, and they've got to get a connection. They're aiming to get a connection as quickly as possible. How do we do it?
Sort yourself out. First. Sort yourself out. And what do I mean by this specifically? An example is what I did as I walked into this building to meet you. The process that I mentioned, dealing with the complexities and all of that. When it comes to this process, it's all about engagement. If I want to engage you in a certain way, the way in which I walk into the room, I shake, your hand, make eye contact or not, how I carry myself, all of that is engagement. All of that is creating a connection already. Why? Because the way in which I engage you, I engage people, I walked into a room, leads to an impression. The consistency of that impression will lead to trust. And the more trust you have, the more influential you become. But it all starts by sorting yourself out, sorting out your thinking, your feelings, so that you
How long does it
can
take
be
to,
the best person you
how
can
long does
be.
it, all right, so let's just say that, step one is sort yourself out. Can we do that in 5 minutes or less?
If you start practicing it, yeah.
What kind of things should we start practicing?
What I said at the beginning. What's the struggle? What are you thinking
Yeah.
about, or how are you feeling? Okay, there is usually
Reflect,
something.
self-awareness,
Boom.
reframe.
And reframe.
Reflect, reframe.
An act. But then now you're being more intentional because you're thinking about how you're going to be perceived, what kind of connection you want to make. So how am I going to carry myself in order to make the impact I want? Intention in communication. We don't tend to be intentional enough. It's just like planning. It's not to say that it's going to happen that way, James. But at least I have the intention. If it's not happening, what do I change?
So if someone wants to be a better communicator, basically all of the listeners, do we start with speaking or do we start with listening?
I'm thinking about different scenarios here. But I would say I would start by asking questions, and then that would lead to listening. An example, if I'm going to be preparing for a session, and then I initially engage either the team that are putting the training together, or even when I get walked into the room, one of the first things I ask, right, people, why are you here? What do you want to take away? So I would say start with questions that will lead into listening so that you can respond effectively.
Okay, so we ask questions to listen, and we listen to...
And then we listen in order to formulate our answers.
ask questions intentionally.
Yeah.
Is there a step before that? The Stephen Covey talks about every human being has the need to feel understood and admired. When you listen, people feel understood, yeah?
Yeah. If you listen.
If.
So if you listen, if you're... Exactly.
Why did you draw attention to if?
Because listening is not just hearing or being there. Oh, James, yeah. I'm going to link it back to what you said about is it a Chinese symbol?
Yeah.
It's just being there. And as I'm being there, I'm curious about what is it that you bring into me? What am I sensing in terms of your emotions? So it's just paying attention to the words you say, to the emotions you bring, trying to translate them in my mind to make sense so that I can be of service to you. And then I can ask some questions. So, of course, there is something before that. And as we doing this, there is a connection being built because, as you said, Stephen Covey says, yeah, we want to be appreciated. We want to be recognized. We want to be heard.
Jim Rohn said this, always have something good to say. And if you've not got anything good to say, don't bother.
Exactly. Don't say anything.
Your book deserves to be published, and selfpublishing.com wants to help make it happen. You'll work one-to-one with an author strategist to write, publish, and market your book the right way. With more than 8,000 authors and 100,000 books in print, they know what works. Ready to bring your story to life? Visit selfpublishing.com/ActionCOACH right now.
That's it. You see? Simplicity.
How do you ever have something good to say?
Learn. Keep on learning. Never stop. Put yourself in difficult situations and then do something with it. Because I put myself in a difficult situation and things don't go well, very likely I will make mistakes. And then I leave it at that.
Yeah.
Then that's it. So it's just, what do you do with the feedback you receive? How do you improve? How do you do it differently next time?
What's the biggest shift that you see that people have? And I'm just going to label this. It's the wrong labels, but you'll see where I go. And I don't mean anything by the labels. The biggest shift, in going from a bad communicator to a good communicator, they're the labels. So forget how I've said it there. What's the biggest shift that people make?
The biggest shift in terms, you mean within a session, for example?
Yeah, let's go. The biggest and best you've seen within one session, within 1 hour of working with someone.
A lot of my work, it is a combination of the external, the things you do, of course, externally, and the work you do within. And communication starts within. And on many occasions, we are so afraid and so much in our own heads that we struggle to put ourselves out there. And then what I tend to experience is people that are shy, they struggle putting things together, they struggle being open, sharing an idea well structured. They struggle with all of that. I give them a few strategies and then they improve. But the greatest shift is when they begin to believe in themselves and they begin to remove all the unnecessary stuff they carry. Like, for instance, limiting beliefs about them believing they're not good enough to do this. They've been told or they've been given some negative feedback in the past, that, things like that. So when they sort themselves out again, internally, they begin to shine with only a few tools that I can give them on top. And even sometimes, James, even without any tools, they just recognize that and they just go, yeah. And of course, I get them to practice every time. As we're working in an hour, at least you will get the opportunity to deliver your message with me twice. That being a presentation or that being a difficult conversation or feedback.
Really powerful. I mean, the shift that can be done in a short space of time is dramatic increase in self-belief. And removal of limiting beliefs at the same time. Yeah. And then you drew attention to a very important word, actually, in communication: practice. What does some of the greats say? The first time you say something out loud, it's not allowed to be at the event itself. It's got to be before the event. Never say the first thing out loud at the event. You have to have said it out loud before. A lot of people practice in the head, but that doesn't count, does it?
No, it's important to verbalize it, to put it out there. That's how you get feedback as well. But then be mindful about the environment where you go and share it, because words will have an impact on people, and it will have an impact on your reputation, on how you're being perceived. That's why it's important to be intentional, and at the same time, be willing to make mistakes. Sometimes you will make mistakes, you will overcome them, and you can do something else differently next time.
Right, okay, so you're an expert on this, so you might not have always been an expert, but have you ever been in your life in a situation where you're doing a presentation, and in your head, you thought, this is what I'm going to say, this is how I'm going to say it, and then all of a sudden, it's not quite coming out of your mouth the way that you planned it in your head beforehand, and then you actually start hearing yourself. This is quite common, isn't it? Have you ever had that feeling?
I've had it all. I've had that feeling. I've had the feeling of, where am I going with this accent? I've had the feeling of, why am I here? I'm definitely not good enough. I've lost my train of thought completely, and then just being blank on stage and having to apologize to a group of senior leaders and say, look, I'm sorry, and I'm going to go and sit down. I've experienced loads for different reasons at different stages in my life. And I want to the expert, I'm an expert, I'm a practitioner, I'm a passionate practitioner of communication. I think I need to change that in my bio as well, because that's what I do.
Say it again.
I'm a passionate practitioner of communication. That's what I'm always doing. That's what I'm always working on.
So, look, you've had blanks. Everyone can relate to that. It's like, oh my God, I forgot what I'm supposed to be saying. It's one of them moments where you just want the ground to swallow you up and take you out and just press the teleportation. Get me out of here quick. So you handled it by saying, sorry, guys, I just need to go sit down or...
Well, that time, that's how I handle it. Nowadays, it happens. It can happen. Sorry, it doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. And then imagine that I'm in the middle of an idea, and then I lose my train of thought right now. Oh, okay, James, that idea just left me. Give me 1 sec. That's gone. But let me continue with something else. Why? We're human beings. These things can happen. Now, if they're happening all the time, there is something for you to work on. Maybe more practice, more structure, refreshing, your knowledge before you go for an interview. You need to prepare. But again, even when we're preparing, something may happen. Instead of going, sorry, and remember, simplify it. Okay, I'm a human being. You're a human being. This happened. Okay. Hopefully a better one will come up. I'm sure it will. Being able to think on your feet is another great skill that we can all develop. And it starts with being kind to ourselves.
What do you mean?
I could go and say, oh, I forgot that. I've gone blank. I'm an idiot. I'm useless. Yeah. Again, I hate myself. Who knows? We can be quite critical, and we talk to ourselves in ways we wouldn't talk to anyone else. Instead, using that phrase, I'm human. And even though I prepare and I want the best for everything and the best outcome for my podcast or the best outcome in my interaction with that person, these things can happen. So what's my plan B? Feel bad or actually be proactive, think on my feet and move on and show people that this can happen and we can all overcome it?
Yeah, no, there's a degree of honesty in there. There's a degree of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's an act of self-love, really.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is. I mean, so you said the first step is to be kind to yourself. Is there a second step?
Okay, now we're breaking it into a process that I hadn't thought of. Be kind to yourself by admitting, yes, I'm only human, and well, I would say trust your brain and the process and your knowledge.
Yeah, trust is the bridge, isn't it, between doubt and belief?
Yeah.
Trust yourself. There's something very calming and soothing about those words. Trust yourself, Jose.
Yeah.
Do you ever say that to yourself?
You know what? Now that you're saying it, I don't think I say it enough. I'm quite hard with myself.
Right.
Even though I'm saying all of these things, there are periods in my life when I just go like push, and then I don't take the time to, hey, Jose, trust yourself. Trust the process.
Actually, saying that to yourself, is that an act of love?
Saying that the trust yourself.
Trust yourself,
yeah,
Jose.
Absolutely, yes.
The voice in your head, the biggest performance-enhancing drug in the world, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, look, incredible book, by the way.
Thank you so much.
And, the second chapter, this is a book on influence, on communication, on leadership, really, isn't it? Leadership impact.
Yeah.
So you talk about the heart, the mind, the body being at one. Why?
Remember when I started saying we tend to feel an emotion, then we rationalize it, and then we express and we materialize it, if you like. Well, when those three are in sync, that's when we're in flow, where we are congruent. It means I've got emotions, I've dealt with them, I've got my ideas in order, and then I'm presenting them through my unique self.
So when the heart, body, and mind is connected, we're at one, and we exponentially increase our ability to communicate. So the body, for example, I'm a big believer of that. Stay in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy body, healthy mind.
Yeah, that as well.
One leads to the other. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're referring to with the body, or are you referring to something else?
Well, within that context specifically, and in terms of communication and leadership, apart from the internal process, when I'm communicating with someone else, and it goes back to the listening piece and the conveying information and paying attention to the emotions.
Yeah.
And paying attention to the words that
So
person
the mind
uses.
is the thinking.
Yeah.
The body is the emotions.
I would say the body is the gestures. The body is how we represent what we carry inside. And then the emotions are the emotions, and it comes through our language as well, and the feelings, per se.
There was the amazing TED Talk by Amy Cuddy on body language and how it is directly linked to confidence. Mm-hmm. You know, and there was another research study you might know where it's the impact of your communication. 7% of the impact of your communication is the words you use. 38% of the impact of your communication is how you say the words, tonality, and 55% is in the body language that you're using when you say the words. And I think that's stood the test of time, hasn't it? It's really well accepted. Yeah,
I would say so. And sometimes I even I say that it's like 33.333 because sometimes on occasions, if you cannot see me gesture, but you will get the power of my voice and the words I say. So you get those two. And the body language is a bit less.
You do have a sexy voice. It's Venezuela, yes?
It is. Thank you so much.
It's very smooth.
I'm liking where this is going, James.
Look, another thing that we talk about in the book is the magnetic effect. You know, magnetizing people. What's the key to getting the magnetic effect working really well for the listeners?
I'm going to go with this. Be less vanilla.
Does that require being courageous?
There is a bit of being courageous. It is about authenticity. It is about being comfortable in our own skin. Because that will lead to genuine connections. And when it's about magnetizing, we cannot magnetize everybody, but by being ourselves and true to ourselves, then we can create great connections. And those are the people that become part of our circle, if you like.
It's not easy for people to be. I mean, that's the following chapter, actually. Authenticity is your following chapter after the magnetic effect as well. And it's not easy for people to be authentic. Why do some people find it so challenging to be themselves?
Fear of rejection on many occasions. What are people going to say? If I do something or I challenge the status quo or I do something that they don't expect me to. That's why, we don't like difficult conversations on many occasions because, maybe they will perceive me differently. So it's about doing this work in order to be, again, more comfortable in your own skin. I use the accent thing a lot. I know you said you liked it, but I find days when I dislike it. And still, it's part of who I am. It's part of my identity. It makes me, I reframe it. Hey, it makes me a little bit less vanilla. And then I just go and play through it in the world. Play, act consistently, I would say. But yeah, it's a bit of a game in the end.
Play, act consistently. See it as a game. See it as a challenge. I mean, the thing that was emerging from, even when you talk about the difficult conversations, part of the reason why it's avoided, I think, is because it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely, yes. We don't like uncomfortable, do we?
And maybe being yourself requires you being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And sticking, as I said, sticking to your guns, for instance. You have an opinion and then you want to, really fight for it. It can be very uncomfortable because people are going to tell you you're wrong. People are going to tell you different things. But still, hey, this is what I believe in. Let's talk about it if you don't agree. That's a lovely start for a difficult conversation. You don't agree? Let's talk. Let's unpack.
There's something very relaxing and soothing about your style, and you even the difficult conversations. I think you can move smoothly into them without much friction. I think that relaxed approach. That's what I got from you. There's a relaxed approach to proceeding forward with an uncomfortable conversation.
One of, I have in the book, there is the simpler framework. And it all starts with slowing down. And when you slow down, you're more in the moment, more present. And then you can address things differently as well. And I don't know if you noticed what I did. Let's talk about this. 3-point communication. It's not about us. It's about the opinion I have on something. You have a different opinion. Let's talk. Let's unpack it. Right away, I'm taking away friction through the body. The
Body
third
language.
element. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and when it's there, it's not here, is it?
It's not between us. It's there.
Yeah,
and we are
exactly.
both working together.
Same for the difficult conversation. Let's put the problems in the middle.
Yeah.
Let's get a round table like this. Round tables are more sociable.
I like them.
Yeah.
They have history.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
in this country.
Well, I don't know what history that is, but that's good. Okay, so mind, heart, body, mind at one, like the magnetic effect, be less vanilla, and play, act consistently with yourself, be comfortable with yourself, find yourself. Now, another thing that you talk about is, and we've already alluded to it with practice, but failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Now, you're not the first person to say that, but you do make some dramatic points in the book about that. So tell us about it.
Well, hopefully I remember those. What are the points I make around?
I mean, why is it so crucial to, that fail to prepare? You prepare to fail.
I'm going to give you an example. I'm delivering a session on EDI tomorrow. And I just had a moment in there where I just lost the word I was looking for. So equality, diversity, and inclusion. It is a topic that I've experienced a lot, but I've never run a session on it specifically. But I've got enough knowledge. So I could just, go tomorrow and deliver something that will be okay. And I can incorporate some stories and fantastic. Nowadays, for me, that is not enough. Couldn't do it. So I've been preparing for the last 2 days, building what I believe can be a very good learning experience for them by incorporating ways in which they can memorize things, incorporating different levels of interaction, because the topic, if you speak about the Equality Act, it can be quite dry. So I can tell them about it. So what? What's in it for them? What are they going to do with it? All of this is part of that preparation process, which is not about me. It's about the impact I want to make. So I'm glad you gave me a moment in there to think about it and illustrate it with an example. Because I think in the book I speak about the... had a moment.
Well, if you come back to it, you come back to it. I mean, your point is really valid. You've made me think of Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit number 7 is sharpen the saw. And he says if you have to cut a tree down, which we don't want anyone to do, and you got 5 hours to do it, spend the first 4 sharpening the saw.
Yeah.
And that's what you made me think. You've got this session coming up, EDI, and you're spending 2 days preparing. That's the sharpening the saw to deliver excellent, yeah?
Yes, and that process never stops, because if I get to deliver that session in a month's time, I'm going to be preparing again because I know I've learned something else and I can do it differently and even better. That's why the communication process never stops.
It's interesting, isn't it? And maybe that's where a lot of people make a mistake. They don't prepare and practice.
We don't prepare, I'm generalizing here, we don't prepare and practice enough. And then how about the people that go, I'm going to wing it?
Yeah,
when
you see, when you get pretty good, winging it is very common. But you soon get found out.
Yeah. And I mean, it might be that you don't prepare as much or you prepare on some other areas. But think about it. You get invited to do something, to speak to people, to present, and you don't prepare? I mean, how much do you care? Because then the preparation is not just about the topic. It's about them. Who are they? What kind of people will I have in the audience? What kind of takeaways do they expect? What kind of knowledge do they have about the topic I'm going to be speaking about? All of those things. So, hey, preparation all the way. 2 days, 3 days, a lifetime. Quickly, James, on this, when people ask me, how long did it take you to write the book? I'm 43, and I published it when I was 42. And that's what I say. It took me 42 years to get to that point.
This is your life's work. Tell us how much you like chilies, avocados, and ice creams.
I love the fact because I think you know the book even better than I do now. So I need to go through as a refresher. Of course, those three I remember perfectly. But I'm still thinking about the preparation thing. It got me in there. Okay. Through my travels and thinking about simplification and all of that, and this is of course an oversimplification of things. I don't expect people to do this, okay? Because we are unique, and it's important when we engage with a human being that we take into account that that person is different from another, yeah? But then if we want to have like a roadmap that can facilitate initial interactions, then these three behavioral styles can be helpful. So the chilies, I love them all, but I've learned to love them all because I've got a chili personality. My wife has got like a red hot chili personality. What is this? We're more expressive, with the emotions out. We talk more at people, we're more outgoing.
Fire.
Yeah, you have that fire in there. But then I lived in Sweden for a year when I was 16. And I experienced the opposite. And that's when I came up with the ice cream behavior. Because it's not to say that they don't have that fire, they don't have the emotions, but the initial contact is colder. And then now I'm ready. If I know I'm not, regardless of where they're from, I'm just sharing the example because that's where I lived. But then now if I meet someone that's a bit colder, in my mind I just go, yeah, ice cream. Okay, I'm okay with it. And I'll interact with that person like that. And then until that person opens up, I'm patient. If I'm dealing with a person that's more chilly, okay, I may actually hold back a little bit and let them talk. The avocado is somewhere in between. It's the people that are a bit more caring, potentially not as analytical as, you know, the ice cream can be. And it's just people that you need to wait for them to open up, wait for them to share their feelings. And again, it's just a different way of connecting with all of them.
It's quite a nice little sort of analogy, really, if you're presenting to an audience and you can spot the chilies. You can probably spot the ice creams. Are the ice creams ever like this?
The ice creams can be like this, yes, crossing their arms, or
to keep themselves warm because they're pretty cold.
Yeah, potentially, yeah, with a big coat on, or they just, you know, frown. Or I was delivering a story last week, and that person, bang in the middle of the room, it was a small, cozy room for storytelling day, and the face of this person was, and I couldn't get that face to shift. And in my mind, ice cream all the way.
Yeah.
And then I had people here, the connectors, the avocados, listening. And then, woo, people shouting in the back, the chilies. You see, you have all of them. And then you know you can appeal to them differently. And
okay, so let's how do we appeal to a chili?
Appealing to a chili, well, I would say match. Matching is a great way to start. So I had the chili shouting in the back, yeah, great story, Jose, woo. And I just went, woo, yeah, back at them. These people here with the connection, the avocados, oh, that's great. Oh, nodding like, yeah, and what do you think about that story? And, yeah, okay.
Okay, so just relax your body language and match their can. And is it, what do you do with the ice creams then?
The ice cream, same thing. It's the ice creams, I see them as cats. So how do I entice them? What questions do I ask them?
All right.
I get a bit more curious with them as well. So, hey, what do you think? Or what do you
actually,
like about the presentation?
That's not a matching thing, is it? That's the one where you actually got to work a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you got to put a bit of chocolate sauce on the ice cream.
A bit of chocolate or a bit of sparkle, some chilies in there or something.
But it's in enticing them in. It's in enticing them in a little bit. You got to work on it. Now, throughout the whole book, self-reflection, is you make the reader self-reflect throughout the whole entire book. How important is that in becoming an incredible communicator?
Key. Whatever you learn, apply and reflect. So as you can see, I've always had like action points and then the reflection. It's key. Reflect, that self-awareness piece that we've been speaking about for a while. And then application of knowledge. Without it, what happens in my sessions? People come on occasions just expecting some PowerPoints. And there might be a tiny little bit in there, plus they have a book with some concepts, but then everything else is bang. Let's have the difficult conversation. Oh, I hate role playing. It's okay. What are you feeling? Yeah, because it's fake and I feel uncomfortable. Okay, where is that uncomfortable coming from, you think? And you see, and we begin to explore.
Yeah.
That's reflection and action at the same time. And then that's where you can see the shift that we spoke about it during a session, that where people go from to everything is happening. But if you don't reflect, if you don't act, everything else is pointless. It's just, we know people that go reading books. Oh, I've read 200 books. I'm generalizing, but on occasions you don't see lots of changes in their behaviors or in their career or in what they do. Why? Because they're not applying. They can't even be reflecting, but I believe if you reflect, there's a level of change in what you do differently next time.
I got a few quick questions to wrap up. I don't know how quick they're going to be, but what's the hardest lesson that you've had to learn in life?
I'm still learning it, which is letting go.
It's tough, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, learning to let go. And of course, learning to let go of wanting to be accepted and liked, for example.
So just a second, though, for all of the listeners on that point, a lot of the listeners want to be liked and accepted. So what have you learned about that that's practical for the listeners that you could offer some form of advice?
Well, and that's, of course, the letting go process. We cannot be liked and accepted by everyone, and that's okay.
So are you saying come to terms with that?
Yeah, it's life. And there will be things that we like about each other, James, and there will be things that we don't like about each other, and there will be things we disagree with. So letting go of all of those things that hold us back.
I'm not finding much to not like about you at the moment. In all honesty.
Likewise, my friend.
In all honesty, I'm not. I'm looking for it right now, but I'm not finding it. So, maybe your wife can tell me what she doesn't like about you.
She'll give you a list. So let's not talk about that one.
If you could master one skill instantly, what would the skill be?
Within communication or?
Any aspect of life.
To be free of expectations.
Wow. You see that little space to think that you just had? That is so important in life. And that's so important when people are presenting as well, isn't it? Talk, question. Give someone some space to think. And then you can come up with some gold like that.
Yeah.
So say it again.
Learn to be free of expectations.
And is that freedom?
If it isn't, it looks a lot like it.
Yeah. It's certainly it's part of it. All right, so if you could give a message to your younger self, this is quite an often asked question. Give yourself any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
James, the way I like to ask this question is different, because I am where I am today because of all the mistakes and things that I've done and happened throughout my life. And I'm really happy to be the person I am and the person I'm becoming. So I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't change anything, because thanks to everything that's happened, I am with you today having this great conversation. Potentially one thing I could say to myself right now, it would be to reinforce these couple of things: learning to let go and to be free of expectations moving forward, because it will help me be a better communicator. So that would be my answer. I never dwell in the past or on the past. I just moving forward, present and future.
Beautiful. What's the biggest lie that people believe about success, in your opinion?
Success equals money?
That's the biggest lie that most people believe.
Yeah.
If success is not about money, what is it about?
About this conversation. It's about connection. It's about opportunities. It's about impact. It's about being okay in your own skin. being free of expectations. All of those things are success to me.
It's beautiful. I mean, I couldn't write that down fast enough, but
Well,
I want
I'm
to
glad we're recording it.
I want to go back and listen to that bit. That was really good. Is there anything that is there anything that people misunderstand about you? Do they think that you're something else?
In terms of the feedback I've received, I would say some people have found me arrogant in the past.
Right.
But when that's been the case, I think I've been arrogant with them.
Yeah. Maybe the same for me. I mean, you're making me self-reflect on that. You know, and that's never the goal, is it?
No.
To be perceived as arrogant. I don't think that's anyone's goal, actually.
I have some stories around that. But yes, I would agree with you. It's not the
Well,
goal. Internally, we don't want that to be the case. But then we don't know how to manage things, and then that's how we engage.
So what's the key to not being perceived as arrogant?
Well, I mean, first of all, we cannot control perceptions, but we can influence them. So it's, hey, how am I engaging? How am I interacting with this person? That'd be the beginning. I remember in one of my sessions, do I have time for a quick story?
Yeah.
And this links to difficult conversations and everything else and feedback. There was this, I had like 12 people for 2 days, and we were only starting day one. And I started to notice a behavior from one of the attendees, the participants. And the label I gave to it was arrogance, straight away, but I didn't say a thing. The way in which that person was interacting with everyone else, it was disrupting the environment, and it wasn't going to work. We went for a coffee, and I'm not going to tell you everything I did, but I approached this person, a young, clever leader, the beginning of his career, but still clever, the way in which he spoke and everything, but there was the tone and the way in which he went about it. And James, I got close to him. He was way taller than me, so I looked, up. Looked up again. I gave him a nudge. I've got something to say to you. Yeah, tell me, what is it, Jose? I'm thinking. That's it. Again, another nudge. I'm finding you quite arrogant in the room. What do you think? His answer, yeah, I know. I'm arrogant. So my communication at that point failed. My intention was for him to recognize and change. And then I said, look, what can you do then? If you know it is the case, it is disrupting the environment. What can you do differently? Please. It's okay, I'll take care of it. He improved. That changed. That got much better. But linking it back to that point, do we want to be perceived as arrogant? That was his defense mechanism. We had a coaching session weeks later. Going back to preconceptions and everything based on my experience with him, I thought he's just going to turn up and say, we have 90 minutes of coaching. Thank you so much. I'm good. To my surprise, he said to me, Jose, I want to spend the 90 minutes that we have to only speak about that arrogance that you mentioned. And then we started to explore.
Yeah, there's a few morals to that story. One is you had the courage to have the difficult conversation. You confronted it head on. Two is if you're not challenged, you can't change. You asked him that direct question or statement, I'm finding you a little bit arrogant. And that was direct head on. And that challenged him. And it meant he could change. So, well done. And being authentic as well is another moral in that. I mean, looking at your life now, if there was a movie about you, what would the title of the movie be?
You know what came to mind? Dirty Dancing, but that's already been taken, right? By Patrick Swayze. But that's it.
Dirty salsa dancing.
Dirty salsa dancing. That's it.
Should that be the name of the podcast?
Maybe I need to talk to my wife about that one. But I do want I do want fun, enjoyment. I want a bit of dancing. I want more dancing in my life. So it would be around, shall we call it dirty salsa dancing? It doesn't link to communication though. Well, dance and communication, there is something in there.
Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? Keep
Yeah.
going. Keep going.
So, hold on. No, because then communicate your way through life, dance, and communicate your way through life.
Salsa dance.
Salsa dance.
And communicate your way through life. Salsa dance and communicate your way through
your
life.
way through life. I'm happy with that one. Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. Let's go for it.
If the audience remembers one thing about this conversation, what do you want them to remember?
Set the intention to leave a positive impact. Set the intention to leave a positive impact. And what this means is leave something that wasn't there before after you go and interact with another person.
You know, my favourite part of this conversation's been, you know, you got me right at the start. You hooked me in, actually, at the start with removing unnecessary complications. I think that really set a really good tone for this. My favourite bit is your genuine, relaxed approach. Clearly very good at what you do here. Of just discussing this one kind of subject in so much detail. I think it's your style, actually, has been my favourite bit. What's been your favourite part of this communication?
I would say the same about you. Good questions, great summaries, very engaging, caring. I mean, the fact that you prepared, because you've been, through the book, in order to make this a great conversation, it shows you care. And it doesn't just show you care about me. You care about people watching and listening.
This is all about the listeners.
Yeah.
Everyone is about the listeners always. Is it about impact, yeah?
Absolutely. Impact all the way.
Jose Ucar, thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure, James. Thank you.